Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you here in Godly Play, even if it's just in my mind's eye. Today, we're going to talk about something called Epiphany, which actually was a couple of days ago. It was the 6th. And if you've ever heard the song, The 12 Days of Christmas, that's what they're talking about. The 12th day of Christmas is Epiphany. And it's the day that the wise men came to see the baby Jesus. And it took them a while to get there. That's why they were late. It wasn't like now when you can get on an airplane and you land in Boston at 2:15 in the afternoon. They had to come a long way and the conditions were uncertain, so they got there 12 days after the baby was born. And they brought him all sorts of gifts. Now, there were some things that I was wondering about when I was a little girl, and I thought I would share them with you. Because if you read the story in the Bible, the 3 kings, or the 3 wise men, they're sometimes called that, stopped off to see Herod the king, and they told him they were looking for the baby who was going to be king of the Jews. And Herod was very interested in this because that obviously would be a bit of a rival for him. So he didn't want that baby to grow up, and he wanted to find him. So he told the wise men, well, you go find the baby and then come back here and tell me where he is because I want to go worship him. Of course, he really did not. And the wise men were finding the baby because they were following a star. And it says in the Bible that they followed a star and it was right over the manger. And the 3 kings went to the manger and they saw the baby and they gave him gifts. And then when they were finished, they were warned that they should not go back to Herod. So they went back to their own country by another way. So the thing that I always wondered about that was the fact that here we had this star pointing down at a manger where the baby was. And why didn't Herod simply follow that star himself? He was a king. He would have had an army, he would have had people he could have sent, but he didn't. And I always wondered about that. It bothered me when I was a kid. So later, when I grew up and I went to college, I took a course in astronomy. Now, astronomy is the study of stars and planets and space, and I really liked it. It was fun. And one of the things that we could do is we could listen to sort of extra credit stories on tape. And we would listen to them and write a little something, and then we would get some extra points. And I was doing this, and I saw a lecture that was called the Star of Bethlehem. And I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. So I listened to that lecture. And what this person said was the Star of Bethlehem probably was not a great big star like this. These people were wise men. They were scientists. And even then, 2,000 years ago, there were people studying the heavens. Now, when you look up into the sky at night, which is something that's really fun to do, you can see stars, and stars are often grouped into things called constellations. So a bunch of stars that have a certain pattern, people then would make up stories about them. And the stars pretty much stay where they are. They don't move around. They're always very constant. But there are things that sort of are wandering around through the stars. And these are the planets. Some of the planets you can see without a telescope, like Venus and Mars and Saturn. So they would see these bright dots that didn't seem to follow the rules that the other bright spots did. And so they studied the different configurations of all these different things, the patterns that were made. And it appeared that right about the time that Jesus was born, there was a very unusual pattern that was made by the planets and the stars. And the person who did this lecture said that was the Star of Bethlehem. And not anyone looking into the sky would see it. Only people who had studied the stars and knew what to expect would see this and say, this is amazing. This is so unusual. This means something is happening. So that made me very, very satisfied, because I was like, aha, there's the answer to my question. And now I don't have to wonder about it anymore. All right, well, happy Epiphany, even though it's a little bit past that. And I hope everybody out there is staying warm and dry and having fun playing in the snow before it goes away completely. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.